Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Oliver. I'm coming to you straight from my basement, not too far from the sub pump. It's been raining, I don't know, all day, I guess, and I don't know if it's going to stop raining. So we've got my, please excuse me if my sump pump goes off and makes some noises. You may or may not hear it, I'm not sure. All right, so today we're going to cover function notation as they pertain to application problems, real life problems. We're going to just kind of talk about the notation. And I'm going to go through quite a few examples and just kind of give you a general idea of what to expect from today's assignment. Okay, so let's get started. Now the first example one here, let's go ahead and read this. It says, Sinead started saving up for her favorite Hatchimal and put an initial sum into her savings. Now let's let the function m of t denote that Sinead's savings, m, it's denoted by m, measured in dollars, t days since she started saving money. So as you guys probably can already tell, these function problems, the wording of them is like half the battle, or maybe it's most of the battle. But what we just have to do is we have to kind of make some sense there of what's going on with Sinead's problem. Let's talk about that first here. What's that m to the 15th mean? All right, so now let's go back to the description of the problem. It says let m of t denote Sinead's savings. And then t represents t days. So does 15 represent 15 days? And that's sometimes the issue here. Or does it represent $15? What do you guys think? Yeah, it does not represent $15. Not just because it doesn't have a dollar sign. That's not the important part here. The important part is that the part that goes inside here, inside of the parentheses, is the number of days. All right, so what we have there is after 15 days, the difference of that and m of 0. Now let me talk about m of 0. Whenever you see like a 0 in there, that is going to be like your initial amount. Or initial day, or, just kind of like the start of it. So what does that statement mean? Yeah, so after 15 days, let's keep going here, 15 days equals 40. All right, now this is the only number here that actually represents money. So that represents $40. So after 15 days, and you take away the initial sum, Sinead's got a profit. So yeah, what does that really mean? Sinead has a profit of $40 after 15 days of saving her money. So she's almost there. I'm not sure how much Hatchimals cost, but you maybe just ask Sinead because I think she's got like 20 or 30 of them. You can ask her. I'm not sure. Okay, looking at example 2, it says Olivia's riding a mountain bike into a canyon. V of D models Olivia's vertical distance from the top of the canyon in miles after riding D miles along the bike's trail. So what does the statement V of 5 equals T, what does all that mean? So let's kind of make some sense out of this. So what is that V of 5 equals T? That seems super confusing the way that works, but let's kind of go back to the original description of that problem. So V, it represents vertical distance, and D represents distance in miles. The V of D represents the distance that Olivia is in miles from the top of that canyon. So I went ahead and just kind of put this into words. VD, V of D, I should say, represents Olivia's vertical distance from the top of the canyon after she has ridden 5 miles on her bike. Now, yeah, that's what that means. V of D represents Olivia's vertical distance from the top of that canyon after she has ridden 5 miles. Now, what does that V of D equals T mean? What's all that about? Okay, so what I wrote down here is that T represents Olivia's vertical distance from the top of the canyon after she rode 5 miles is equal to T miles. Now, this is a very abstract written problem because it doesn't say how many miles it is, but what we're just saying is that those amounts are equal. Those values are equal to each other. All right, let's look at example 3 here. It says Chris is a delivery person. M of D models Chris's fee in dollars for his nth. Should have maybe used some superscript there. But nth delivery on a random day. Basically any day of when he's working his delivery routes. So what does this statement all mean? M of 6 is less than M of 3. I think I'm going to fix this. I'm going to need to fix this in post. So I think the copy you're going to get, I need to put an N there. But that really should be M of, I don't think I used the right notation for that. Or it doesn't make sense to my brain at least. I should have used M of N, not M of D. I think they probably copied and pasted the last problem and forgot to change that, the notation there. But you got M of N. Now let's say that represents, what are we going to say? That represents what? That represents Chris's money, like his fee. All right, so I'm going to say that M of N represents Chris's fee for his or her. Hey, Chris is a very gender neutral name, so it can go either way. Chris's fee for his or her nth delivery. All right, so we can go with that right there. So what does M of 6 mean? Well, I would say that M of 6 means that's Chris's 6th delivery. M of 3 is Chris's 3rd delivery. And then putting all this together, we're just saying that, Chris's 6th delivery was more lucrative, was better payout, was a better payday, I guess. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background, but my sump pump is like just making the weirdest noises. So please pardon me. I don't know if all this sound is picked up by this microphone, but I definitely hear it. It sounds like someone's going to the bathroom, but it's just my sump pump, just all that water going in. It's been raining all day. So Chris's 6th delivery was higher paying than the 3rd delivery. That's all that means, So, I think the way that some delivery drivers are paid is that, it depends on how big the order is. Like if they're getting like a $200 order, they're going to probably make a lot more money or a lot more profit than if they're just picking up like a cup of coffee for somebody. So that is number 3. All right, for example 4 right here, it says Maid Event is a popular venue that holds birthday parties and other social gatherings for the local area. I think I've gone to a few birthday parties at Maid Event in my day. Well, not my day, I guess, in my kids' day. My kids like going there. It's a fun place. And what we have is it says P of T models the number of people at Maid Event, T hours past 10 a.m. I guess 10 a.m. is the time that they open on any specific day. So what does P of 6.5 equals N mean? What's all that about? So I'm going to write all this down here. So P of T. All right, so P of T represents the number of people that are at, I abbreviated that, main event, T hours after 10 a.m. So just kind of saying here, so like P of 3 would be the number of people that were at main event at, I don't know, 1 p.m. P of 1 would be the number of people that are at main event, or represent the number of people that are main event at 11 a.m. Something like that. So P of 6.5 represents the number of people that are at main event at 4:30. I'm going to guess that 6.5 represents 6.5. 6.5 hours past 10 is going to be 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And what do we have here? What we have is P of 65, or not 65, but the P of 6.5 is what? And then kind of summing it all up right here, it says there were N people. N people, we're not sure what N is. It's a variable, of course, at main event at 4:30. And that's all that that means. And like I said, I'm going to do a lot of examples here, so I'm going to go through quite a few. And I would highly recommend you going through all of them. Don't just go through, I know some of you just look at the video and you go through one or two and you're like, I get the gist of it. But it's going to help. I think a lot of these, I kind of pick different ones and try to make these a little different every time, but yeah, definitely try to go through all of them. So it says Audrey is throwing a football. H of D models a football's height in feet at a horizontal distance of D feet from Audrey. So what does the statement H of R, capital R right there, equals 23 mean? So let's talk about what H of D basically represents. So H of D represents the ball's height at a horizontal distance of some number of feet, of D feet from Audrey. Okay, so that's what that is. Let's talk about this H of R, because I don't really mention H of R in the description of the problem. So it kind of comes out of nowhere, that H of R. So you got H of R right there. What I'm going to say that means is that that's the ball's height So H of R, let's kind of talk about what that means. H of R represents the ball's height at a horizontal distance of R feet. The abstractness of these function problems I know can get to you a little bit, but it just helps to kind of write all this out and kind of list it out so we can see what's going on with this problem. So a horizontal distance right here of R feet from Audrey. So let's kind of put this into a summary here. At a horizontal distance of R feet from Audrey, the ball was a total of 23 feet high up in the air. That's where it was. So it was 23. It's got a couple different elements to it. So even though Audrey's right here, and here's the path of the ball, right here, that represents the height. Okay, but that does not equal the distance the ball is from Audrey. Okay, so that's what's going on with that function right there. Okay, for example 6, it says that the Hancock building, one of my favorite buildings in Chicago, has exactly 100 floors. T of n, the function of T and n represents the number of people who live on floor n of the building. The Hancock building is not just an office building. There's people that live there. There's condos, apartments there that people reside on. So what does the statement T of 98 equals T of 31 mean? So T of 98 equals the number of people that live on the 98th floor. This is, I think one of the more confused things with functions, and especially with the notation that we're talking about today, is that we might confuse 98 with being like, well, yeah, 98 people live there, but live where? We don't know what that is. So it makes more sense that T of 98 represents the number of people that live, the output of T of 98 is going to be the number of people that live on the 98th floor. We're not sure how many it is. Maybe it's 1,000 people. It probably isn't, but maybe it is. And same thing with T of 31. That does not mean there's 31 people on floor T. It just means same thing. Number of people that live on the 31st floor. So what is this all saying right here? This is probably the easiest one we've done of them all. So we're saying that the number of people that live on the 98th floor is equal to the number of people who live on the 31st floor. And that's pretty simple. Like I said, I think this is one of the easier ones we've done so far. All right, now down to our last example here with the abstract Olympics of algebra right here. So we've got for number 7, your language arts class had a quiz where the scores were between 0 and 50. So N of G models the number of students whose grade on the quiz was G. What the heck? So abstract. Why would someone get a score of G? Just give me some numbers, right, Mr. Albert? Just give me some numbers. I know, but this is how function notation works. We're going to get very abstract. So what does the statement N of 40, holy jeez, what is, I don't even know what that means. What does the statement N of 40 is greater than 3 times the N of 20 mean? What the heck is going on with this problem? I'm going to have to call my mom up for help, and I'll get back to you in a little. No, I'm going to tell you how to do this right now. Let's do this. So we've got what? So let's get right down to business here. What does N of 40 mean? What's going on there? So that's, what is that? Does that mean people that got 40? Is that what that means? So N of 40 represents the number of people who scored a 40. I know it sounds like, there's 40 people that scored a 40. That's not how that works. The number of people who scored a 40. We don't know who that is. We don't know what that amount is, but we just know that that's what that N of 40 represents. Now I'm going to kind of ignore this 3 for right now. But N of 20 basically means the same thing. It, represents the number of people who need to study a little bit more for that quiz. They got a 50%. So the number of people who scored a 40 is greater than 3 times the number of people who scored a 20. All right, guys, but that does it for today's lesson on the crazy abstractness of functions. All right, tomorrow I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little quiz up on your Google Classroom. It'd be like a Google's form quiz, and we'll do one of those, okay? So hopefully you get this function. I would say this was an easy lesson, but also it would be confusing as heck if you didn't do these notes. So make sure you guys are doing these notes and going through all these examples with me and learning something from them. Hopefully you're learning a little bit, and everyone's having a good time at home and keeping occupied and staying safe and all that. So everyone have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.